What's happening, everybody? It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. Feels like it's been a long time. It is Shout Out Sunday. What is going on, everybody? John Harmon, what's happening? Everybody. All right. Feels like it's been a long time for some reason. I guess a lot's gone on. We are the New York Hardcore Chronicles live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, The Texas Silver Rush, Chain Reaction, Records and Skateboards, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Chacho's Tacos, and Generation Records. What's going on? Shout out to the Docs Till Death guys for getting educated. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, these guys, Docs Till Death, did a they review hardcore documentaries, and they reviewed my Boston hardcore film, and I saw it and I listened to it, and I had to get in touch with them and be like, put me on your fucking show because you guys need to know a couple things, you know. So they brought me on the show, and I had to straighten them out a little bit. It was cool. It was a cool show. It's out there. Check it out. Docs Till Death. You feeling that, huh? Thank you, bro. My Kango game is on point. You know that. Scott Earth, what's up? Getting ready to play A7 on Sunday, bro? Week from today. Come on now. There you go. It's Shout Out Sunday. So let's let a couple fly. What's up, Scott? Hope you're well, buddy. Yep. What's happening in Holland, Renee? All right. Good. Good. You're psyched. Everybody's psyched. Rampage Fest. You know, Detroit in the house. Good. Glad to know the Motor City's representing. You know? Good. What else? Who else? Who else? What else? Anyway, let's keep it moving. You know what? Let's mention a couple of shows we have coming up, and then we'll bring on Steven Messina. Couple of shows. Don't be scared. If my voice sounds a little rough and I'm talking in slow motion, it's because we had a show last night and I took a beating. So, you know, coming up this Wednesday, July 14th, Scott Helland from Deep Wound, The Outpatients. Wednesday, then we're skipping because the A7 Mosh Fest is next weekend, so there's not going to be a Sunday show. Then Wednesday the 21st is Joey Shithead from DOA. Then Sunday, July 25th, we got Rob Dukes, excuse me, from Exodus and Generation Kill. And then we got Dave Scott Schwartzman on Wednesday, July 28th. So all that's going down. Yeah, man. Rob Dukes. Get your thrash metal on. Yo, not just my voice took a beating, man. You know what? Let me bring Steven on. Hey.
What's up?
I took a beating last night, right?
Yes, you did. You know what? It was worth it, though. It was worth it.
Oh, man.
It was a sweat fest.
I couldn't hear myself. So as a singer, when you can't hear yourself, you have a tendency to scream and then
you overcompensate for sure.
Yeah, I'm good like that. I'm a good overcompensator in everything. So, yo, Hegs, you had a good time last night? Good. Hey,
tell Hegs Crazy Eddie played last night.
Hey, Hegs, Crazy Eddie played last night. Larry Kelly, what's up? Thank you, Larry Kelly.
Larry's a man.
Antidote NYHC could not do what we do without Larry Kelly, you know?
Yep. Larry's awesome. He really is.
Yeah,
I got to shout out Rich Solar, by the way. Rich Solar gave me a lift back to Baldwin last night, so I didn't have to brave the subway to the train. So
who did?
Rich Solar.
Oh, Rich Solar, yeah.
Yeah, he's the man. So
where is? Oh, here you go. You know what? Let me put this up a second. For those that may not know, coming up a week from today, we're back in A7. It is Rampage Mosh Fest. Finally, we're back in the magic room. We're back in the magic room. It's happening. You know, added onto the bill, Antidote NYHC, Crippled Urn, Antidote NYHC, Enziguri, Silent Sequels, Death, Necrotic Society, Diamond Dogs, and Serial Poets.
Look at that!
Psyched? You're finally gonna get to play A7 with your Fakakta band.
Barring any new pandemics that might creep up. Oh yeah, no, we're training like ninjas for this. So
glad you are.
Yeah. Well, you know, it won't be as hot as Kingsland was, hopefully, but we are first band in. We're the first band to break open the sound barrier in A7 again. So yeah, so psyched.
Everyone's really excited for this, man.
Oh my God. And look at this bill. I mean, you know, that's a killer. All killer, no filler right there, you know?
There you go. So that said, let's do photo of the. Did you send me photo?
I did. I think you had just said you were going to grab something from the batch I sent you. That's what you said before, I thought.
Well, from last night?
I don't remember. Is that what we were doing? I'm a little fried.
Who are these strange people? And why are they looking at me?
It's this hot light. I can't help it.
Oh my God.
I don't remember. I'm completely drawing a blank.
No, I said I don't. All right. This is what we're going to do. Fine. We'll
just randomly pick something.
Yeah. No way. I got it. This is what we're going to do right here.
I wasn't even there. I never laid a hand on her, I swear.
All right. Photo of the day. What's going on here? All right. This is total freestyle. What's going on here? And get ready, because I'm going to go off. And Sid, you're fucking dead, bro. Okay. Let's hear it. Wrong answers only, please. Wrong. I got to take my Kangol. Off for this.
Is there even a wrong answer for this?
Is it total confusion? Is it Sid, give me your fucking punk rock card, you're done? Close. That's close. Is it Sid, what the fuck are you doing? Drew, is it Drew being hard on his guys? Oh my God. Is it the Three Stooges? Who's cleaning up the barf? Okay. We could do better. Is it? Oh man! Is it Guar After Show? Is it Hardcore 101 with Professor Stone? Is it Sid looking for his bike keys? Oh, you know what, Joe Frank? You kind of win with this one. Is it the Wrong Answers Only? Good name for a band. You know what? I gotta add it to the list. That's really good. The Wrong Answers Only. Baseboard Heat, Retroactively Mad, Ancient Inquisitor, Hit by a Truck, The Gluten-Free Motherfuckers, William Hebrew Park, Army of Jocks, and Wrong Answers Only. All right. This is what's going on here. You know, this in the middle, I'll tell you what's going on here. In the middle of our friggin' set last night, right? In the middle of the set, all of a sudden, right through the front of the stage, Sid the Kid gets on stage with us, walks right past me to the drum set, right? And posts up with his phone. And I'm like, excuse me, can I help you? Like, what are you doing here? We're playing a fucking show, dude. So, and now, and this is pretty much right. I'm like, what's going on? And everyone's like, what? So here's the kicker, kids. Here's the friggin' kicker. Wait, hold on. Merciless. Hold on. What's going on here? All right. Right? So here's part 2 of this abomination, this atrocity, right? Are you ready for the pictures that this guy took? I mean, is this for real? This guy posts up these pictures today, right? Get a load of this. Really? You're a friggin' artist, dude. So this guy comes on stage, interrupts the show, and takes pictures like this. Here you go. Bro, not a single picture in focus. Not a single friggin' picture in focus. All right? So, first off, let's bring on Mac Ray from NYHC. Bro, what happened?
Yo, what's up? What happened?
I turned my back for a second, and this guy's on. Like, come on.
I think you're a little too hard on him. I don't know. It's hardcore. Let him be back there.
No,
I thought maybe he's going for like a conceptual swirly thing.
It's his interpretation.
Let's bring him on. Listen, Sid.
Yeah.
I mean, really, dude.
Hey, you said you're being a little hard on me.
I'm not, I warned you.
A little bit hard on Sid.
I warned you.
You did, but it was just a.
But it's not just that, Sid. It's sometimes photographers come on stage. They slip up on, they come up on the side. They're you got up right in the middle of the stage, climbed up right past me, and I'm.
Well, all right, that's over exaggerated. I didn't climb up over you, Drew. Because if you did, you would have fired me on the spot if I climbed over you.
Yeah, Whitney says it's abstract photography.
So yeah, Whitney gets it.
Wait, let me.
It's artistic interpretation.
Let me put up another one of these masterpieces. All right?
Please do, Drew.
Dude, you will pay for this. You will pay for this dearly, my friend.
In spades.
Here's another one of these atrocities. Here you go. There you go.
Again, it's that lighting, Drew. We could all agree that the lighting there is not up to par.
The lighting is non-existent in that room, basically.
So my suggestion to you would be, like, do what you did. Post 30 shitty pictures.
No, for you, Drew, I'll double that. I'll go 60.
Drew, I don't know. That picture adds some pounds to you, man.
What?
That picture might add some pounds to you right there with that lighting.
That I don't need. Hey, Matt, let's do what's going on with tell us about let's do T-shirt of the week with Matt.
Yes.
What's going on, bro?
Yeah. T-shirt of the week. We have an original Youth of Today shirt.
Damn.
Wishing Well Records. The original Wishing Well Records release T-shirt. Break Down the Walls. And I don't know. You got $500. I'll sell it to you. You can actually see my tattoos underneath it. That's how, like.
Is that how worn? Is that how worn it is? If you've worn it so much, it's like threadbare.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the. Becky's like, you are not allowed to wear this. It was like sweat stains. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
$500, he said. There you go.
It's almost like a hardcore thing.
Yeah, this is part of the museum, and no way this is getting sold.
Have you?
I don't know. All those years. I never sell anything. I am a collector. I don't let go of anything.
Freak.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff.
Not only do I not keep anything, I give it all away before it even gets to the house.
He doesn't.
Let me get some of those gold records.
Everything's for sale here. You know that. Anybody want to buy a gold record? Let me know. I don't. What do I already sold one to the Insane Clown Posse kid.
I remember that.
Oh really? No way.
Yeah, the kid's opening up a Juggalo museum and like offered me some ridiculous amount of money for the gold record. I'm like, bro, you want to pay that? I'll meet you halfway in Pennsylvania. You can have it, man.
Wow.
Listen, man. Yeah. Yep. Hey, Matt, did you hear that we're going to San Francisco?
I'm pretty stoked. Yeah, we are. Sid's coming. He's going to be our photographer.
How about this? Yo, how about here? Antidote NYHC, we're playing Crash Fest on October 10th in San Francisco. All you West Coast people, Antidote NYHC, Sunday, October 10th. We're playing with Infra Riot, Resistance 77, Fang. We're coming out west. We're also going to be doing a couple shows. We'll be out in LA. So this is the first one that's announced. So don't be scared, all you West Coast people. Antidote's heading out that way.
Come hang out.
Hang out.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah.
So Matt, you gonna come back on and say hi to our guests later?
I'll be back on a little later. You got it.
All right. I'll see you then. Sid, we'll see you later, bro.
Oh, yes, you will.
You are an artiste of the highest order.
Of the shittiest quality, Drew. Of the shittiest quality.
Maybe I just can't wrap my head around it. I don't know.
Most people can. Neither can I.
All right. I'll talk to you later. See, he's going to give you a run for the money, this guy.
I'm telling you. But listen, my last shout out, I got to give a shout out to Matt Gray. That guy is a freaking Sherman tank on stage yesterday. He really was just a powerhouse. And there's something about when a drummer is like completely dominating. He's a beast. Listen,
at this point, you know, he really drives this. He really drives the train of this band. You know, it's like, I mean, he's yeah.
He really is. And at one point, me and Rich Zola were looking at each other, and Rich Zola just looked at me and went like, wow. Like he just was just, it looked like the drums are just going to come apart at one point. It was awesome.
Yeah, well, we like playing with him.
Yeah.
Me, him, and Tristan, man. He's the engine that drives Antidote NYHC, man. He
really is. But it was awesome, and I look forward to Sunday sharing the stage once again. You know,
get your shoes and socks on, kids. It's right around the corner. All right, listen, we'll see you later. All right,
later.
Hey. What's happening? This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, The Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Chacho's Tacos, Generation Records, and Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards. Located in Lakewood, Colorado, is the Rocky Mountain headquarters for all things punk, hardcore, and metal. Established in 2014, they have the largest selection of records, CDs, shirts, stickers, patches, and accessories between Chicago and Los Angeles. From the pit to the ditch, they've got your back. Get in touch with them at www.chainreactionrecords.com. Also, the Texas Silver Rush is a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rolle, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. During this current pandemic, all information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. That said, let's clear the deck. What the heck? Let me make sure everybody. Hey, Jeff Steiner, what's up? Hey, Jeff, what's up? Everybody. Sash, nice to see you too. Nice to see everybody on this Shout Out Sunday. What do you say we bring our guest on, huh? Let's get crazy. Clear the deck. Here we go. Bim, bim, scala, bim. All right. And they said it couldn't happen here. Today's guest is an American bass player of Puerto Rican descent and DJ hailing from the Bronx in New York City. He is known for his work with Collapse, Absolution, Fully, Quicksand, the Ray Martin Sessions, and of course, Deftones. Please welcome, coming at us from the Grand Concourse, our old friend, Mr. Sergio Vega. Brother!
Grand Concourse, VX!
Come on now.
Hell yeah.
All right. You know, my dad grew up right close to where you are. You know where Taft High School is?
Yes.
my dad grew up like right across the street. So
Yeah,
I have roots, man. You know.
The funny thing about people, in my experience from the Bronx, myself included, is no one really knows where they are in relation to any place else or anything. And don't ever ask them because they're going to get so pissed if you're like, well, how do I get to you? And they just get mad, myself included. So
you're living in the old Jewish neighborhood, basically.
I know. It was the answer to not being really kind of like included in like the Central Park thing going on. And like, they're like, all right, we can do this, you know? So they're like, whatever, y'all.
Well, it's good to see you, man.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, man. Let's chop it up a little bit. So, pandemic hit. Like, how did that affect things? Did you have to cancel shows? Like, I know now the perspective on it is like 15 months ago. But what happened? What happened since? How did that change things for you?
Oh, I mean, everything shut down as everyone can attest to. Basically, my particular story or perspective was like, I was in Concohanchin, Pennsylvania with Quicksand. We were doing some finishing touches on our upcoming record. And I was about to, I had my bags packed and my wife and I were about to hop on a plane the next morning to go link up with everyone and make our way to Australia to do some festivals and some shows with Deftones. And I was kind of doing a lot of back and forth between coasts. I had just come back from rehearsals in Los Angeles with Deftones and started to COVID, right? It was like, there's this COVID, all right? And during these last sessions, it became more, with Quicksand in Pennsylvania was more and more of a thing. By the last night when we're getting ready to go back home, get on the plane, I just got the call not to get on the plane. Like bands started, I mean, rightfully so, started pulling out of the festivals out there, and everything just shut down. So that was it. That was the start of it.
And did you basically spend the year up in the Bronx?
Yeah. And thankfully, because I was telling you off camera that my wife and I were living in Spanish Harlem, where my mother grew up, and loving it, but it was like a hella small apartment. It was 2 rooms. And my mother had just moved to Puerto Rico, and we took over her place up on the Grand Concourse. So thankfully we had space, and that was a game changer.
That's awesome. Speaking of your mom, how did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? Like, give us a little background on your family life coming up, and was music a part of it?
Yeah, a big part of it. And like my mother and father are visual artists, really. And my mother is like an author and a visual artist. And but my cousin is what really got me into music. And when I was in junior high school, he was in a freestyle group called Temper. And they had it was like a one-hit kind of band. They had a song called No Favors.
Is that right?
Yeah. And so I had this on that side. So he's doing this. Temper. Yeah. And their song was No Favors. And I was hyped on that, and he's an excellent piano player and still is, right? So his name is Chino Moreno. And I saw that, but then I'm watching television, consuming a lot of television, watching the Partridge Family, and I was like, Danny Partridge is cool, and between that and Tom and Jerry, I was like, my cousin, Danny Partridge, Tom and Jerry was like, I gotta play bass. I gotta play bass.
Why bass? Like, why?
It could have, bass was because Danny Partridge played bass.
I see. I'm sorry. I didn't make that connection.
No,
right?
no, I should be more, descriptive. But Danny, there was a particular episode of Tom and Jerry where he's playing the bass outside of this girl's window. And it's like, is you is or is you ain't my baby? Boom, boom, boom. So I had this association of music of bass in particular is here's this rebel kid in the Partridge Family, and here's this smooth dude wooing a girl, outside of her window on bass, and I was like, and then my cousin at the time was like, he still is. He was like super suave and super cool. So I just saw all this, and I was like, his bandmate was also cool. He was dating her sister. He was cool. He played bass. So I just associate bass with like, oh, that's these cool people playing bass.
Ryan, our man Ryan says, yo, that Tempo record is pure 1980s breakdance.
Yeah. I was in school, like, trying to like milk that as much as possible. I was like,
like, yo, that's my dad.
That's my cousin. My cousin is like
your cousin.
Yeah, he's like my cousin, Temper. And people are like, yeah, all right, whatever, who cares?
That's great. So you pick up the bass, and what influenced you early on musically when you started playing? Like, what was the first stuff you started playing?
The first song I learned was Man Eater.
do.
And we had like
here she comes. Watch out.
It was cool. Exactly. We had a band where we didn't have a singer. We had a saxophone player whose father taught the wind instruments, in school. And then my friend was playing drums, and he was cool. He was more like a graffiti writer who could play drums. And I was like the time a graffiti writer who was learning bass. And we figured out a couple of songs, and we would play them in the auditorium. We had a 2-song. We had Man Eater and another Hall & Oates song, but that was our repertoire.
Hall & Oates, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hall & Oates always gets that, like, always gets the reference when like bands are fighting, and like you got to like, being that I was in management at one point, and like 2 guys in the band, like are hate each other. So wants to leave. The reference is always, you think fucking Hall & Oates like each other? They hate each other's guts.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the perennial rock and roll reference. Like those dudes haven't talked in like 30 years. They get out from different sides of the stage.
Mm-hmm.
You think Hall & Oates fucking like each other?
There's a lot of bands like that.
Right. Yeah.
Travel separately and
travel separately and get on stage separately, and there you go. So you mentioned something, and we didn't even talk about this in our pregame, but that's graffiti, and that's kind of like the New York City graffiti hardcore connection a little bit, and at a certain point, and I've mentioned this on the show, like graffiti, New York hardcore, hip hop, they all were kind of running head to head.
Yeah.
At a certain point, can you give us a take on that?
I think, like for me, it was kind of strangely different in that I was very much compartmentalizing things. So I was up in the Bronx and writing graffiti. I was like with these kids, and like my friends were like in the Tats crew, and we weren't even super close, but these were people I knew. And then also TOA and just painting trains, like doing like the 2 trains and the 5 trains. And when I started to get into punk, I dropped that like a hot rock. Like it was like I didn't do it. And also it wasn't really like, it was at a point where even my friends at that base, you had to kind of choose. So I was like, they were like, dude, what's happening to you uptown? They were like, what's happening to you? And I was like, I'm on some other, this is what's happening. I'm out. I'm out of the graffiti game. I'm out. And then, and nor was I welcomed, like they were just like, I had like one friend, this kid Nicer, who was like, he was actually turning me on to like the Police, and he was more into like kind of that type of rock. I had rock and roll reference. And
what's that? I'm sorry.
I had no rock and roll reference growing up. And
okay, that's interesting.
And he was like, yo, it's cool what you're doing. But then everyone else was kind of like, bro, I don't know. And I just kind of bailed. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm on this. So, like to your point, when graffiti and hip hop and hardcore and stuff started merging, I was like, that is news to me, because I was like, I never had that crossover. There was never like this dude doing hardcore that was doing it. Never, ever. They were like separate worlds. So, it's interesting. It's just a New York phenomenon. It's a I think maybe a Northeast. It's a I don't know. I think it's global now at this point, but
Oh yeah, for sure. So how did you oh, here you go. Our Chucky, I believe he would chill with graph artist Nicer TNT.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's amazing, and he's a really sweet dude. And we haven't talked in decades, but like, sweet dude, amazing, still doing it, still killing it. And when I started to like transition, he was like one of the few people that were like, yeah, that's cool. You know,
Go on.
But there was a clear choice. There was a clear choice.
What's this? Sergio Soundview alumni. What's Soundview?
Soundview is up by the 6 train. I grew up off of St. Lawrence, and Soundview is the next stop up. So like when I was in, that's where I did Little League and kind of kicked it around there.
Got it.
That's up off the 6 train.
Okay. You know what? Just while we're here a second, I want to shout out our resident historian, Chucky Brown, who played last night with Crazy Eddie. And I got to say, Crazy Eddie they ruled last night. They killed it. You know, they had the great slot, you know. By the time we got up there, people were beat, you know. You know how it is when you're the headlining band after 6 bands, you know, it's like everyone's just beat up, you know. Dude,
straight up ear fatigue. People are like, wow.
Yeah, right.
You can't avoid it. You can't avoid it.
From now on,
right in the middle.
From now on, we play third or we ain't playing.
Oh, yeah. It's like the headliner quickly becomes the mop-up because people are just shocked.
By the time I got up there last night, I was sleepwalking, you know. But how did hardcore come into your universe?
Kind of like in it accidentally, I guess, because I knew about punk. Like I used to go to Danceteria by myself. I had a period of having no friends. You know, it was a short period, right? Like, but
no.
My uptown people were like, "We're done," and then my downtown people didn't exist yet, and I was like straight up going to Danceteria and kind of exploring on my own. And what I didn't know was that there were like hardcore shows on the first floor, and I was just kind of walking right past it.
And this, I think, if I remember, this is like '86, I think.
Yeah, literally.
Let me look that up as you go ahead.
So it didn't register because I didn't see like what I thought was like punk. So I just walked right past it. Unbeknownst to myself, I'm hanging out on like the goth floor, and I'm just kind of like checking things out and buying records that I'm literally seeing off of this one girl's MC jacket, remembering it, going down to Bleecker Bob's and buying those records.
Wow.
I was like, this is punk, but I'm like doing punk in my mind, but literally what I'm doing is goth. And I'm buying like Early Cure, I'm buying like Sex Fiend, I'm buying Batcave Records.
That's okay.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
It really as a player and as like a thing and like sonically, it really affected me in ways that I kind of only realizing now.
Sure.
But those sounds and the playing and the rhythms and stuff and like cult records, Southern death cult records.
Yeah.
Those are the things I was buying.
Yeah, the early cult stuff was great, man.
And that was my early collection. I had records from Uptown, you know, I had like mixtapes. I have a whole story about that. But like my first hardcore and punk records were that. Yeah, I would have been there.
Yeah.
But walked right past it.
May 15th, 1986. Agnostic Front record release party. I guess what was Agnostic Front 1986? Was that maybe the Cause for Alarm record? I don't know. Someone looked that up.
Yeah,
yeah, and here I got another one in the archive here. This one. Here's another one. What's the date on this? 6/26/86, 2 days before my birthday in '86. Cause for Alarm, Lethal Aggression at Dance. So Danceteria was doing gigs, you know.
Yeah, there was a good chance that I was there on a different floor, you know, like because it just didn't register. But when I started making friends downtown, then I started to kind of see like, you know, one of my early friends was like John Jesse.
Yeah.
You know? And I had friends, you know, other friends that led to him that kind of aren't around anymore. But like he was like, I was like my world. I was like punk, and then I started meeting people who are more like hardcore and stuff, and then by Gingy Brown from Absolution.
Sure.
We became friends early on and started going downtown together. So we kind of like, after I guess maybe my first year at most, we were going down together, and he became like, and still is like, family.
Was John Jesse playing? It was Nausea happening then?
Yeah. Yeah, in certain ways, like I consider myself popping up late, but now that's 86. That's
right.
Early. You know, like Nausea was happening and all those things, and those are, since I didn't also have like a rock thing, and I grew up with kind of hip hop, and it was local, so like those are like the people I was looking up to were like, like bands like Nausea.
That's really interesting. Like the angle that you approached it, from. It's really unique, at least so far, as far as the show goes. Most people we talk to, like, the Beatles records and like sort of came up that way, and then classic rock, and you really approached it from a unique, and I can't say from unique, but I guess I was going to say a very uniquely New York City, but I guess that sort of thing could have happened in any urban sprawl.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think so. I mean, I grew up listening to what my mother was playing. She was playing like salsa music, and she told my favorite band as like a baby was The Fifth Dimension.
Oh yeah.
So like that was my one song in particular. She was like, you have to maybe play that on loop, and you wouldn't.
I'm sorry. Jeffrey Brown says, ask him about chilling at the Devil's Nest, a Latin spot in the Bronx. They would play freestyle, new wave, and electro.
I was there. That was me at 15. And I was there, and that was like a really awesome time. I feel like there's some things that are underreported, and I feel like the Devil's Nest is definitely one of them. And shout out to Chucky for knowing that, because Devil's Nest was like, I was 15, and there was something like after loft music. It was like freestyle, but it was like Webo music. There were all these kind of like micro genres and phases of things, and it was like not. And I saw ABC there.
Oh wow!
I saw the live.
The Look of Love.
Yep.
Sure.
And like go there, and like I think I had like one of my best moments as like a 15-year-old when I figured out how to dance, like whatever the dance was at the time, and I had a minute of dancing, and then like dancing with a girl in the circle around me, and I was like, I'm doing it. But like shortly after that, I was into punk, and that was there was no crossing over.
So how did you was Collapse your first hardcore band?
Yeah, but my first band was called Trauma.
Oh,
and that was with John Jesse. John Jesse, I realized when I was like, when you were taking notes, I was like, I need to take notes, and I need to think about things. I freaking lived a lot, and I after an interview, I realized I didn't talk about these things, but like John Jesse played drums, and we had a band Trauma, and we had a guy named Al singing. And for a short time, we had Victor, from Nausea playing guitar for a very short time.
Vic Venom?
And we had a cassette. That was my first band.
Talk about legends. Vic Venom. That's an NYHC legend.
We had a cassette, and John drew it. And he drew the artwork. He did the artwork, and it was really like, it was awesome. And then Collapse was my first, I guess, hardcore band.
Right. That makes sense. And did Collapse did you guys get right out there and start playing?
I don't think we played very many shows. I feel like at that time everything feels like an eternity, and now from my perspective, I realized it was very short-lived. But like I feel like had given a do-over, I would probably have allowed it to develop more and because I think that Sean Murphy is like an amazing vocalist and like lyricist. So like when I look back at that stuff and I look at our lyrics, I'm like, I'm very like proud to have been a part of that.
It's interesting you should bring that up. Anthony Civarelli from Gorilla Biscuits mentions in my film, the New York Hardcore Chronicles film, that, you know, back then when you're that age, like a summer is like eternity.
Yeah.
You know, and it's almost like you back then as a teenager, you know, we live in like, it's almost like time moves in like half speed, you know, and as you get older, things go faster.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So it felt like we were doing that for a while, but we weren't, man.
Oh, here he is. Here's Sean. We played 6 shows.
Yeah.
And he says, I love you, brother.
I love you too. You're amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, Sean. That's cool, man. And
Yeah.
Sean sang?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was the vocalist. It was great. I mean, like, when I look back at the lyrics, oh my God, I also did a band with Tommy Carroll that lasted maybe 2 shows called Irate.
Called Irate? Wow.
Holy crap. That was before Collapse. That lasted maybe 2 shows. And like, it was right when he like was doing Straight Ahead, but he was like getting into Rastafarianism. And they were kind of like, I feel like I don't know if it's a false memory, but I feel like I remember them being like, bro, we can't do this with you anymore. You smoke weed and you got dreads. We can't do Straight Ahead. And we were doing this band Irate. And nobody liked us. Jerry Williams was on guitar, and we had Carl.
Oh, yeah. Wait, you had J.W. Lee on guitar? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Another, like, he's like a super important figure in my life. He turned me on to classic rock. I've never heard. Right? Yeah, I
always say that that Jerry is the unsung hero of New York hardcore, of early New York hardcore.
Yeah, he was a part of everything. Like he took me on as like a mentor. You know.
Yep. Hey, Chippy.
Chip, what up?
Yeah.
He took me as a mentor. He let me. He would give me keys to his apartment. He would have me an apartment sit for him. He turned me on to music that I hadn't heard yet. You know, he's how I heard Black Sabbath. He's how I heard Led Zeppelin. And that's a couple of years into hardcore or punk already.
He was a kind soul, and he's really missed all these years later. You know, I have vivid memories of him being a sound man at CB's, like with the spliff hanging out of his mouth, and like there was no, even when there was absolute chaos and turmoil, he would just be like whatever.
Yeah, he's an amazing person in life.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's like he has his fingers or his influence on a lot of things, you know, that more so than people would know. Yeah,
for sure. Well, I mean, the obvious, of course, is that he produced the iconic Bad Brains Roar cassette, which he recorded at 171A, which, what can you say? That's one of the building blocks of American hardcore, you know? Yeah. So, hey, let's bring Sid the Kid on at this juncture. And, hey, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah.
Sid, let's do record of the week, okay?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, boss.
I'm ready. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. Here we go. Sid the Kid, record of the week. Boom. Go ahead.
I mean, guys and gals out there, how can you not talk about New York hardcore, you know, especially with the compilations that have been out over the years, and not mention this specific one? You know, obviously here, this is the New Breed compilation. This came out in 1989. Freddie Alva and Chaka from Burn put this out. And just the amount of bands on this one tape is phenomenal. You have Absolution, you have Life's Blood, Outburst, Our Gang, Pressure Release, which a lot of people don't know about that band, Breakdown, True Colors, Show of Force, Direct Approach, Raw Deal, which, you know, before they renamed themselves Killing Time, Abomination, which I believe was Crazy J Skin's other band when he was doing Warzone and Beyond. And just the simple fact that this came out so long ago, but it has such a resonating effect, I believe, you know, because obviously this did come out in '89, but actually, if I'm not mistaken, War Dance re-released this as a two record package, I believe, in 2011. So just with something like this, you know, at the time I can't really say they were as many well-known, you know, hardcore compilations, especially concerning New York, until this one came out. Granted, there were a few, but this one kind of just kept that ship sailing up until, like, you know, until the early to mid 90s. And of course, many other compilations have come out after that, and to this day, still more so are still putting stuff out.
Yeah. Sergio, I'm sure that I mean, this resonates with you. You have a track on there. Could you give us your perspective on it?
I just thought it was cool. You know, like when we got asked to do something, for me, it was like, we're doing it. You know, like it was like really that simple. I mean, like to be part of a compilation felt like it legitimized the existence as a band. And now seeing it, you know, in retrospect and seeing what it means, and seeing Chuck on the cover and how close, you know, we became, and Freddie Alva and stuff, was like, it kind of like, to me, it just speaks to like what all of us are a part of. And like, I don't know, it feels really good.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely safe to say that Freddie Alva captured sort of that era. Yeah. You know, and there's been a couple of compilations along the way, and I'll talk specifically about New York hardcore here. You know, you had, you know, the early thrash cassette. You know, you had the Big City. You know, you had New Breed. We just put out the A7 comp. You know, every 5 years, New York hardcore needs like a good comp. You know.
Exactly.
I think you're right. It's like a snapshot of something that's like, things move in time really quickly.
Yep. Cool. Sid, well done, brother.
Hey, I mean, I just want to say too, even some of these bands, like, you know, I always tell people, if you're going to grab something, listen to the whole thing. They might, you know, you might not like everything, but there might be that one song or one band that you never heard of that's going to grab your attention and you want to know more about it. And granted, not a lot of these bands were around long enough for many reasons, but it's, as Sergio said, it's like that moment just captured in that one specific time, but it is timeless though.
I think to a certain extent, this comp, maybe more than any other, there's a lot of players playing in like the embryonic stages on this comp that went on. You know, you go, oh wow, Collapse, oh wow, Sergio, you know, and Show of Force or this or that. You know, it's like a lot of guys. This was sort of like their first bit. This was like the entry point. You know.
Exactly.
All right, Sid. Thank you, buddy.
All righty. Thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy the show. And
yeah.
Hey, you want to shout anybody out? It's Sunday.
Nah, we're all tired from last night. We're all Drew. But Drew, you guys, like, and the staff of Kingsland really like did an amazing show last night. Like, people came out, you know, more so, especially with Saturday night. What are you gonna do? Sit home? No, go the fuck out and do something. You know what? That show last night, every band killed it from beginning to end. It was like nothing ever happened. It just kept going. But it was such an amazing show.
Yeah, it was nice to get out there again. It was just like the old days. People came out and saw music and you know, community and culture, right?
Exactly.
All right, Sid. I'll see you later. Thank you.
All right, cheers, guys.
All right. That was a nice sort of segue. Like,
yeah.
And here's.
That was a big deal for me to be on a compilation. I was like, yeah. Compilations felt like you're actually, you know, you're part of something.
And they also did a really great job on it, the packaging and sort of the whole thing behind it. You know, he really, you know, Freddie Alva really put a nice product together.
He's still doing it now.
Yeah. So after how does Collapse?
It was kind of weird, you know, like we're like best friends, we're like family, and I think also like super conceptual, you know, and we had this idea that like we should be in a band together somehow, and we should like kind of merge these things somehow. And long story short, like I kind of like wound up in Absolution, and John Crichton was doing it, and then Gingy and I had lived together in Williamsburg, and we spent just a lot of time like thinking, and we're super romanticizing things. So we had this idea once, you know, like Absolution had made this shift and had two guys from Collapse in it, and we should just start all over and just new material and new whole things. But now, granted, this is Gingy and I talking in our apartment, and like you bring that to Gavin, and that was it.
Right.
I was like, bro, I've been writing this song. What are you even talking about? I'm out.
But you didn't you play an Absolution?
Couple of shows. Everything's like brief. So to me, like it's another thing. Hindsight is 20/20 vision or whatever the thing is. Like, I think both bands were probably best. Like Ginger and I were living together. Like we're chilling. Just leave the two bands intact, and I think that they could have both lived longer. Now Absolution had the opportunity to come back and do a lot more. So I'm thankful.
Yeah, that's true. And then in the timeline, I guess soon after you and Wally put the Quicksand thing together.
Yeah, and that's not me. Actually, like that's thankful for Gavin for that, because Gavin made that introduction, and if I understand correctly, like Tom and Walter kind of had that, and then got Alan involved. No, Alan wasn't even involved yet. Just Tom and Walter. I think Sammy Siegler and Gavin suggested me, because my understanding is like just to get out of the small kind of like thing that they had, and trying to branch out and play with I guess different people maybe.
That makes sense. I have a interesting, and I learned this when Walter was on the show. Here it is. I did not notice it until we sort of did this show at Walter, that early on, Walter, there was two guitar players.
It was like we expanded and contracted. And we did maybe a tour like that. It was short.
Who else was playing guitar?
That was Charlie Garriga.
That's right. It was Charlie. That's right. Yeah, it was Charlie. Right. Charlie was on the show. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like the thing was like, and you could I could be wrong, but it was more like an experimented like doing a true frontman thing.
Yeah.
And putting down the guitar and just like doing it, but and I think Charlie is like a great guitar player, and I think the band functioned really nicely. Like I like playing guitar with Walter. I really like the way he plays guitar.
Is that right, Matt Gray? Hold on. Is that right, bro?
What?
Is that the Unisound Club? I can't hear you, Matt. You're muted, Matt. Matt's saying, is that I think that's the Unisound Club, probably in
I don't
Pennsylvania.
remember the show or the venue, but I do remember the time period. It was really brief.
Yeah, got it. That's cool.
But that's the theme, right? Everything was brief back then.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Where is my? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this a second. Ooh, hold on. Things don't want to behave. Okay. Let's talk about. Well. Boom. But before we talk about this, I guess the Revelation 7-inch came out first.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I recorded at Don Fury's, and my perspective, I mean, like, it was my first kind of like, not the first time I recorded at Don Fury's, but being on Revelation for me was like, oh, wow, I felt like stepping up, and it felt really
big time.
Felt really cool and really, aside from the track, the standard songs on the record, like my, one of the things I always think about is the Hypno Jam with Dan at the end, because that was like a little lick I came up with that was like in 6/8 and hanging out at Jerry Williams' house. I don't know what we were listening to that turned me on to 6/8, but he was like, this is 6/8. And I was like, whoa. And he also taught me about drop D, I hadn't even heard about Drop D before Jerry Williams. So I was kind of like in standard. He's like, yo, check out King's X. They're in Drop D. King's X totally like Jerry Williams changed the game, but I just had this little lick. And I didn't even recognize it as kind of being kind of bluesy. But it was like, it's a little lick. It's in 6/8. And then Walter brought in Dan Doolin, and we have this thing. And it's just funny to me because now like time signatures and tones and things are such a big part of my thinking. Like, or playing in odd time signatures, and that was like to me the entry point.
And this record was Polydor, right? Am I remembering correctly?
Yeah. We're talking about the 7-inch, right? Like
we are. Yeah, I'm moving forward to this, but moving forward to this record was Polydor, and it was recorded at Don Fury's as well, right?
A couple of tracks.
Yeah.
But it was recorded at Longview Farms.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Mm-hmm. And that was like another thing too, because it was like, for me, it was like, oh wow, like this is our job. We have a chance to make a career. Like I didn't kind of enter this.
Right.
I didn't enter this with that thought, like I thought I was going to do it. Like anything, I think a lot of people, you're like, I'm doing this for life, and you don't know how. You're not thinking about like the logistics of what that means, and bills or anything. But like this was something that was like, wow, like this is really, really kind of like cool. And it was hard because it was hard to kind of like for us to decide to make that move. It was hard like for us to kind of reconcile with, there was a lot of conflicting emotions about reconciling with making a move to a label and what that meant and our history and what that meant for us.
I guess so. Just to reiterate, this was the moment where you kind of said, hey, maybe this is what I can do for a living.
Well, it became a living. I was like, wow. And it was like a humble one, but I was like, wow, this is really wild,
That's exciting, man. Good for you.
It was exciting and it was scary, and it was like, we entered that very much like conflicted and a lot of turmoil about it. And it's interesting because a lot of it was how we would be perceived. A lot of it was what would be thought of us, and how interactive with people would be.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there's a lot of like, I think up until that time, or not up until that time, but at that point in time for us, there was that thing of like, almost like a bit of martyrdom. Like it wasn't really something to be considered, which is interesting because like, when I think about it, like there's a lot of big shows happening. So promoters and some people are really making money.
I want to take this opportunity to say that, I'm a big fan of Walter Schreifel's, of his hustle. There's certain people that I really respect their hustle, and Walter is a guy that has an incredible work ethic. Yeah. And I really can appreciate that. There's a couple, Walter, John Joseph. There's a couple guys out there that just have these incredible work ethics, and I was late coming to the party for Quicksand. I think, I'm a little bit older than you. So, when all this was coming out, I was sort of on, I was up onto something, I was off on something else. But being in this line of work, I've circled back, of course, having Walter in the film and stuff. And I also have a very good friend of mine, Astoria Lou, who's a big Quicksand fan. And, he really steered me in the direction. And of course, this was the first thing that I listened to very much, and it just really, grown to appreciate it. It is really great. Yeah.
It's something that I think, finding out what we were wasn't easy. It put a lot of effort into finding out what we were. So anything that can survive any song idea that made it that far, I feel very proud of, because they were treated harshly. Any idea, any song, we were harsh to our young. We would give birth to things and be like, ah.
James Elliott says, Quicksand blurred the lines of the scene at the time, made it much more interesting, also spawned a whole gaggle of new bands that rock.
I like gaggle. It's a good word.
A gaggle. It's a gaggle. So yeah, that's. Do you feel that record has aged well?
Yeah, I listened to it and I feel like I think from like tonally, when I hear my bass tone and things like that, I'm like, oh yeah, I hit so much better to me now when we play it now, because maybe I like the evolution of like my understanding of my gear and playing, but these songs themselves, to me, I still love them and they make me really stoked. I feel like they have their own lane, so it's kind of like it's outside of time and space. It's just like they are what they are.
And you guys got out there to support that record. Didn't you guys? Was that the Warped Tour that you guys? Was that the first one of the early Warped Tours you were at?
The first Warped Tour, yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like we toured about maybe like we were doing like something like 8 months a year at that time.
Wow, life on the road, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. You guys followed that up 2 years later with Manic Compression, right? Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on that record?
Yeah, like in a lot of ways, like I like it. I like everything more now, like stepping away from it in the sense that like I think I relate to songs for anything that I've been a part of as not so much the song or an album. It's more the time around it and the interactions and the things that are going on. So I don't hear a record. It just kind of like triggers, not triggers because that's a bad word, but it spawns or sparks memories, emotions, good, bad, indifferent, and all that kind of stuff, right? So like when you step away a long time and it's almost like another person, then I can just put on the record and listen to it and go, oh yeah, and hear it as an album.
That's awesome.
Like when I listen to anything right away, I think about, oh, what I could have done better or what I would have wished for or whatever. But now I listen back to it with a lot of appreciation.
I can relate to that. When I watch some of my films, I just sort of, I'm past the point of, I should have done, now I sort of accept them for, that moment in time. And
yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, I don't get, yeah.
And I think that's true of anybody. It's true of anybody doing anything. Anything that you care about or that you're passionate about, you're going to look at it really hypercritically, and you don't see the end result. You think about the journey that got you there. It's only later when you can go back to it.
Here's an interesting question. So many B-sides for Manic Compression. Why weren't they used? They're incredible.
Used in what sense? Like released, or?
I guess why weren't they were they not on the record?
I mean, there's only but so much you can put on a record.
Yeah.
And I think I don't really think we had that many B-sides because one of our problems, we've never had the luxury of being super prolific. We never had, we had enough to get it done, and we'd be lucky if we had an extra 2 songs maybe.
Yeah, back then you go into the studio, you record your songs. There was no, hey, we have some, there's extra money. Let's just hang around.
And I think from like, when I think about like Quicksand as we exist now compared to then, I think that there was, I feel like we're more comfortable in our skin and like what constitutes the band and how we do this and how we work together. And it's now is a time where we would actually maybe have extra songs. Back then it was like, to get to that point was a lot, because what are we not, what's fitting, what's working, what's to this, what's to that, it's hard because I think for everything and all the awesomeness that like hardcore brings to our lives, and it sustains us for life, and also you feel like it can be like modally, it's like it's like the blues, right? It's like if it veers too far away, it's no longer that.
Correct. And
there's a very, very, you're walking a razor's edge of trying to bring in influences into your life and not just going off the deep end. And, sometimes it's not necessarily conscious. Sometimes it's just a motive. You feel like, okay, this is just not hitting right. And I don't know.
Let me take a sponsor break here, do a couple shout outs, mention a couple things, and we'll come back. We'll do we'll do some stuff. We're going to talk gear today. We're gonna bring Zum on from Fryette, who was a designer of the Sansamp bass amp, and
Nice.
we'll talk some gear in a little bit. So I'll see you in a few.
All right, cool.
What's happening? This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and our guest today is Sergio Vega from the Deftones, Quicksand. Let's do a couple of sponsors. How about Generation Records? Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay on the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as T-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections with music memorabilia and will pay top dollar for them. House calls are made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and on Instagram. How about New York Hardcore Comics? Opened in 2013, selling comic books, punk rock, and hardcore memorabilia, toys, statues, skateboard decks, tapes, vinyl, and all things horror. We love helping bands push their demos and new tracks, so please stop by and drop off your new music. We have in-store events like Magic the Gathering and Warhammer tournaments, plus meet and greets with bands and some live performances. Open 7 days a week and shipping worldwide. Find us online for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and eBay, located 117 Main Street in lovely Dobbs Ferry, New York, at NewYorkHardcoreComics.com. Last but not least, DTFM Vinyl Distro is a record store that specializes in underground music, punk, ska, hardcore metal, and more. Located in Fargo, North Dakota's Industrial District, shop in person or online at www.dtfmvinyldistro.com, where the motto is Death to False Metal. Hey, I want to shout out Mark Tulch up in Canada, who just sent me this picture. He's watching the show, and on his new 85-inch screen TV. There you go. Thanks for picking my nose, bro. You know, once in a while I say, yo, send me pictures. How do you people watch this show? Like, how do you watch this show? Do you watch it on a phone? Do you watch it on a laptop? On a slaptop? I was blown away when people started sending me pictures of stuff like this. I was like, wow. And I appreciate it. That's awesome, you know. Jeff Steiner, great show today, Drew. Thanks. Ray, Drew, your voice sounds like it just hit puberty. Dude. Yo, it was rough last night. Playing a show, you know, with a lousy PA where you can't hear yourself. It was rough. A little rough last night. I watched it in the back of a New York taxi. Okay. There you go. What else? On my iPad. All right, good. There you go. Let's get rid of that. I want to mention, how about I want to mention a couple more upcoming shows. How about, oh, here it goes. Here it goes. Here's some shows coming up in the future, in the not so distant future. Wednesday, August 4th, EK. Our old friend EK is coming on a show from Warzone and Sick of It All. Sunday, August 8th, Scott Ian is coming on the show. All right? Caught in a mosh. What is it caught in a mosh? Wednesday, July 11th, Glenn E. Friedman, legend. Can you say legend? This should be an interesting one. And then Wednesday, August 18th, from Fang, the infamous Sammy Town McBride. So stacking them up. Got some great shows coming up. Also want to mention, and I know I'm preaching to the converted, but I got to do it. It's part of the gig. If you want to support the show, please don't be shy. Let it fly. Don't be a Hatreon. Join Patreon. There it is. There's a Patreon page. We got a bunch of stuff coming up. We're doing the walking tour. We do private Patreon shows every other Wednesday. It is a way to support this show. This show needs your support. So please jump in the game. There's a PayPal address there as well. If you want to make a one-time donation, it helps. We put a lot of work into the show. And cheers from south of Brazil. Well, thanks for stopping by, man. You know, cool. Walking tour is great. Yo, you've done every one, and we're doing another one. It wouldn't be the same without you, Hegs. So yes, the show must go on. And the show's been going on. Look, the pandemic's over. We're still doing the show. We still have great guests. People want to come on the show. I love doing it. You love watching it. You know, we're doing it. You know, we are doing it, doing it. That said, what else? What else? If you're watching in rerun, there is a subscription button there. Please subscribe to Stone Films NYC YouTube page. Also, there is a merch line. Check out some of that merch. You want that New York Hardcore mug, the shower curtain? You want that New York Hardcore pillow to prop your girl's ass up on? We got it all. Don't be shy. The next walk, and you're invited, Ray. I think it's August. When is the next walk-in tour? Hold on, I'll tell you. Where's the calendar? Hold on. The Drew Stone Cinematic and Music Walking Tour is going to be Saturday, August 14th. And if you are a patron, you are certainly welcome to come for free. So there you go. We're good. I believe I covered everything. Shout out to new patrons. Zachary Kinney, Timothy Reichel, Derek Moomin, Ray Hogan, Jorge Rodriguez, and Linda Nardelli. Thank you all for supporting this show, making this happen. This doesn't magically happen. Someone doesn't wave a magic wand. It doesn't work like that. It's your support. That's what makes it happen. So thank you. Let's bring on our guest. Let's bring Sergio back on. Let me clear the deck here. Deck. Let's clear. Things are moving a little slow for me today. You know, I don't know if you've ever sang in a hardcore band at 11 o'clock at night in a club that's 300 degrees, but at 50-something years old. All right?
Yeah.
How about you, man? When you do these shows, Deftones shows, Quicksand shows, is there like a pre-gig ritual for you? Do you just tell us about it? I'm real curious, like real quick. Like
for me, for both, it's the same. It's like a minimum of an hour warm up of playing and vocal warm-ups. Because like in both, like I sing and so I have like a whole vocal routine, do that, and then play a lot. And depending on like the set, and no matter how well I know the songs or anything, I still run the set a couple of times. And I just play it. I have a bass backstage, and I'll play the entire set.
So you literally play the entire set backstage.
At least once. Maybe
every night.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're on a Deftones tour. I mean, of course you have a set list, right? You're not winging it. Right? Things are set, right?
No, they're not. No.
Oh, they're not.
Mm-mm.
That's cool.
So like sometimes they like for both bands, they could like live a while. Maybe the set will live a few days, but like everything has a shelf life. It's about keeping our excitement up, because like when you're at your most excited, then you're gonna give something that's exciting, and get it back in return. You're not like going through the motions.
That makes sense. Hey, I just got someone just sent, you know, and I try to deter people from doing this, but Denise LeBeau, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, said Sergio is as nice as he is talented. Photo by me. He and our mutual friend Abby back in the day, 1987. She just sent this to me. Here's you and Abby in 1987, bro.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
How's that, bro?
That's awesome.
All right. Look at you repping the Washington Redskins, man.
I know. I wouldn't do that now. Can't do
that anymore.
Yeah, trash that.
Oh yeah. So you know,
yeah, Abby was a good friend.
That's cool, man. That's cool. So before we bring Zum on and talk a little gear, you know, I know the circumstances of you playing with the Deftones. You know, they're somewhat tragic. You know, their bass player got into a car accident and was, you know, really hurt bad. And you ended up. Did you step in for him before that at all?
In '99.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. How did that work? What was that about?
It was we had met in '95 on the first World Tour.
Right.
So a friend of mine was like, "Go check out this band Deftones." I was like, "Are they hardcore? Or what's the deal? Like, why would I, you know, like, what's the connection?" And like, they're not so much, but they are they love Bad Brains, whatever. I saw them and I was like, "Oh, this is rad." I went and introduced myself to them on their Winnebago, and we talked and we became acquainted. And
yeah,
they a few years later, you know, they're on tour in '99, and she hurt his foot, or like a toe specifically, and it was really, really messing him up, right? And like, he went home. They were in the Northeast, and like, I came up the idea of, you know, like me. I think mainly it was like a logistical thing. I was close, and they hit me up. We were already acquainted. I think I did a rehearsal, and yeah, that is the truth. Yeah, I did.
Is that?
I did.
Hey,
I was like on that Warped Tour, I was an oddity. Like I was playing chess avidly. I had a mouthful of gold teeth. I had braids. I was into wine and baguettes and grapes. And I had I would carry at least like an ounce of weed with me and a box of cigars. And I rolled up to their Winnebago with all of that. I don't even think Stefan was smoking at the time. They were just kind of like, they were just shocked. They were like, "What the hell is this? What is this guy doing?
What is this New York guy doing?"
Baguettes, wine, I had red wine, grapes, and blunts. That's true.
So you step in for a couple gigs
for like a tour. I did a tour. We did 9 songs, I believe. We had 1 rehearsal, and like, that was a time too. Like I just had a CD with the set, and I just would like listen to it over and over again before the shows and do that, because I wasn't like, you know, I just listened to the songs, practice them, and get up there and play them, and like it was challenging.
Wait, were you doing double duty, or was it separate? Quicksand wasn't on that tour, right?
No, it was Deftones opening up for it was Pantera and Black Sabbath.
Wow. Wowee. Black Sabbath, Pantera, Deftones?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on now.
And a couple of like headlining shows for Deftones. Wow. So there would be some extra songs thrown in at the, you know, it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember once, like, I don't remember much about the shows, but one in particular where, like, I think the song was Engine Number 9, and it breaks down to a bass break, and it's all happening, and we're sitting there, and then the breakdown happens, and everything stops, and I'm just sitting there, like, smiling, and they're, like, looking at me like,
hello.
That's my part.
That's great. And I mean, obviously, you know, tragedy strikes and he gets hurt, and you end up being the logical call, right?
That I think that's what it was, because it had already happened, and that makes it easier. And there was also like, I mean, like from my understanding and like their style and what the thing is like, they really like Quicksand, and where it's most apparent you can hear is like in the bass. You don't hear it so much in the drums. You don't hear it in the vocals of the guitar. But if you hear the construction of like the bass lines, you know, I think that's where it's most apparent. So like stylistically, it works well too.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you went on, you know, and of course, you know, you went on to play for years and played on the last bunch of records. And
oh yeah, I wrote and recorded now like 4 albums. You know, so it's like writing with the band and collaborating and things like that. You know, like.
Is that right, Ryan, our brother from A? Good seeing you last night, Ryan. Deftones opened that Black Sabbath show with Sergio playing a heavy as fuck Depeche Mode cover?
Yes, that is true.
What Depeche Mode cover you got?
I don't remember the song now. I don't remember the song name, but it's true. I think we resurrected it again a few, you know, like more in this tenure. But I'm also really thankful for Deftones, in like when Quicksand got back together, they were very instrumental and very helpful in creating like circumstances between Deftones and the Deftones team at large at helping Quicksand kind of get up and running again.
This is interesting. Hold on. Chucky Brown just sent me a photo. Wow, this is where the hell did it go? Hold on. What is this, man? Wow. Okay. All right, you ready for this one? It's pretty dark, Chucky. Like, what's going on here?
Oh yeah, I was like 17.
Look at you, man. Oh, Dingy's on the right.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Freaking George.
Wow, where was this? ABC No Rio?
This is before ABC No Rio. This was by I forget the name of the street. It's like some side street near Washington Square Park.
It's you rock. Look at you rocking your Crash shirt, bro.
Right, now I have a Crash tattoo, so you know. Don't forget where you come from. That's why I'm vegan.
You know, somebody, a friend of my family, I've talked about this on the show, a friend of the family, without going too deep into it, gave me 3,000 negatives from the early punk days in London, 1977, right? And I'm probably going to put a book together. And they were all very categorized, like they were in a loose leaf binder, and I could see what there were dates on them. But sometimes there was like an opening band that he didn't know. You know, he was there to see Siouxsie and the Banshees or you know, Squeeze or whatever, and there was an opening band, and he took a couple shots and whatever. So there was this couple of shots of this one band. I could not, for the life of me, figure it out. I gotta show this to you, man. You gotta see this. This is great. I gotta find this. Hold on. This is worth the price of admission. A, B, C, where the hell is it? Well, here's a for instance of the kind of stuff that he gave me, right? Can you imagine? I have 3,000 of these.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Crazy, right? Here's another. Here's like another one. Here's one of my favorites. Right? Where's my Generation X shit? Hold on. Yeah, man, these are awesome. There you go.
Whoa.
3,000. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Those are some nice photos.
Yeah, we're gonna put a book. We're gonna put a book together. We're gonna put a book together with this, but I can't seem to find what I'm looking for in a. But so this one band, I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm with a friend of mine who was in the Buzzcocks, right?
Okay.
And who's married to my friend Andrea. And I said, bro, you were around back then. What is this? 2 seconds. He's like, Crass.
Oh.
I got to find one of these, man. Hold on. Here it is. Okay, I got it. Where's the, yeah. Here's one of them. I'm like, who is this? I'm like, I could not figure this out for the life of me. And he took one look at this and he said, Crass.
Wow.
Yep. These are never been seen before.
Wow.
These have never been seen. We're going to put them together in a book. I'm talking to people. My technique is I'm talking to people that were there. I'm reaching out, to get comments from people that are in the pictures,
I mean, Crass is a very big deal for me.
Yeah. For a lot of people. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So, yeah. Hey, let's talk a little gear. Let's bring on my good friend Neil Zum Ostberg, who's with Fryette and Sound City now, and of course was involved with creating the Sanzan bass driver. Hey, buddy.
Wow. Well, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for your service and your contribution.
How's the audio? Am I all right?
You're good, man. You're
all
good.
Right, great.
So did you think when you sort of worked, when you put together this Sanzan bass driver, that every friggin' bass player on the planet would be playing the damn thing?
Certainly not. Hey, Sergio, nice to meet you. Yeah, I mean,
likewise.
It was based on my sound that I was doing an Antidote with my 76 Ampeg SVT, and I would push the front end with a TC Electronics, line driver, booster, and it was just like it was about the sound that I was getting and how to duplicate that in a pedal. And Andrew had such a great ability to make a great device for guitar, and the idea of having, but the thing, the concept of having something that was a DI that had knobs and a foot switch. It was like a combination of a pedal and a DI.
Right.
Nobody had ever done it. And when we showed it to people, like Big Mick Hughes, the front of house guy from Metallica, was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, that's making me nervous. Like, what's the big deal? So like people were like, so this front of house guys were really skeptical. So I would this is how I'd get through the doors. I'd say, if you click this, if the light goes off, it's just like a Countryman DI. And they would go, okay, I think I can try it, because it was too mind bending. But it was really something it just came up based on, my sound and how to just, turn an 83-pound head and a 103-pound cabinet that Drew and I humped up the stairs in Long Island City after shows time and time again, how to,
I used to call it that thing. We used to call it the Widowmaker. It's like, that thing was like, if that thing would kill you, man, that thing could kill you, right? You remember those things. I mean,
I still got it.
Sergio, somebody asked, what bass is that behind you?
It's a Fender Jaguar.
Ah, that's what I thought. I thought it was something like that. Right.
Yeah, the one I've been playing for. I have a lot of them. They're all the same, but a couple of them are modded. So this I record with and play with a lot, but it's outfitted with a whammy.
Wow.
The Kaler whammy.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, now, Sergio, I know. So, with Fryette, we, Steph and Chino use our power amps, our two-space rack power amps before the DIs go to the house.
Right.
Now. And so, and I know that they've also used them just because, you know, like they sort of at one point, I think it evolved. I think Rem worked with us and with Steve Fryette, and you know, there was a sort of a realization that there was a way to incorporate tubes, that we could help them incorporate tubes. And also they also used the other, I think the JMP1 preamps too. So we sort of worked with them to figure out a way to get some tube amp goodness in the signal chain without actually miking anything.
Stefan has an ever-evolving rig. It's evolving and morphing forever. And Chino's has always been a little more direct, straightforward rather. And but definitely I do can definitely say and attest to that those are a part of their chain for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the concept that you explained to me, Zum, how these guys, it's a different signal that goes out in front of the house than what's on the stage?
Yes, for me it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's for everybody. I think in that band is that I think that there are DIs that go DIs with a cab sim that are going straight to the house, and the cabinets aren't mic'd, right? They're just there for stage monitoring. Is that right?
Well, what I'm doing is like speaking for myself specifically, because I think everyone's thing is pretty complicated, especially Stefan's. But mine is for stage, I'm running fractal unit. So it's coming out of the back of the fractal unit directly into and then the signal will split where it's also going to an orange head that's going to two 8x10s. So it is slightly different because where the signal comes from the fractal amp to the cabinets are bypassing the modeled cabinets. What's happening in the front of house is they're getting the modeled cabinets.
Right, and so the 810s on stage aren't mic'd.
No, they are, but I don't think they're really used. I don't. It's redundant. But
yeah. Okay.
That makes sense.
And I have one question about that rig, but it also which is that, you know, I know that with Deftones you use some ambient effects in the bass signal, and I have never been able to apply it. Like, I don't know, like for me, I just feel like it just gets lost, and that, you know, the ability to anchor the band goes away when you start adding delays and stuff. And so maybe you could explain a little bit about how you make that work in a band context. And then also I just want to know sort of, you know, in the earlier days, and also, you know, what how your Quicksand rig is different and all of that.
I think they come from the same seed, in that, like, I have the same concept I've been running since I started using effects, since really around leading up to the Slip record, which was a distortion, a second distortion that's just a little bit more intense, a chorus, a phaser, and a delay. And a lot of it is picking your spots, you know, so like when things are happening and how they're happening. But in terms of Deftones, like when things started to really get a little more advanced, and is signal splitting. So like in Fractal, like there's a song in particular, Diamond Eyes, where my main sound is there's distortion, a phaser, and tremolo the entire time. And I'm taking the signal and splitting it. So I'm kind of running one that is, and just with distortion, and then I'm running the heavily affected one parallel. But even within that, I'm still kind of playing with the mix and the wet dry, so that it really is whatchamacallit. You still get some of the low end, and then you're also adding parametric EQ at the end of it all to make up for what things are what frequencies you're losing.
Got it. So you have some you have some dry signal in there, some clean signal.
No dry. I mean, no. they do take a direct signal, and I don't know if it's mixed in, but it really often isn't, because it kind of fucks things up. Like when you try to mix in a direct signal, it fucks things up, because when things are so effect driven, especially if a given song is like you're counting on the effect to cue people to come back in. You know, like the direct signal is no longer viable, where usually it is. You know, usually you want that, but it really fucks things up. So it's been years of tweaking and kissing it and just getting it to where it is. And between someone like Rem and also, you know, like Drew Fopp, who has worked with Deftones for many years and worked with me, you know, is also very, very instrumental in helping get the concept to making, you know, something viable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 'cause, yeah, things have to play with each other. And it's like, and a heavily affected bass is not often done.
Here's a question from our friend Ryan. How's the whammy bar applied to these songs? That's a hard thing to use on a bass without sounding really out of place.
Well, it can be heard like on the new Deftones record. You could really hear it in a song called Genesis, and it's applied it's a lot of touch. You know, just you have a lot of things. The more you have, the less of it you use. You know, so like in the song Genesis, you can hear in the chorus where there's just a little undulation, and it's like blum. You know, so the part is like, you know, like I don't have a pick with me.
Well, give it a shot.
But it's kind of like, you know, so it's like just a little, you can't really see it, but it's just, so. Like that.
Got it.
Right.
Cool. Let me ask you, as far as the bar goes, was there? I'm thinking, was there any other bass player that was there a reference to that? Did you see? No, I can't think of Billy Sheenan.
There might be. I just don't have a lot of my influences on bass are Sly and Robbie, you know, as a rhythm section.
Come on now.
Doug Pinnick from King's X.
Okay.
I forget his name. I think his name is like, he has a lot of names. Baron Von, whatever. The dude from Amoebix. Amoebix is like one of my favorite bands.
Wow.
And, Harley Flanagan, you know, obviously. Like, yeah. I got a Guild Pilot because of Harley.
Well, Harley Flanagan is an incredible musician. He's a great.
The reason I have a whammy bar is because of bands like My Bloody Valentine. So it's really like a guitar thing. It's like not using it as a dive bomb, not using it for things. It's just like this kind of using it in your strumming and a little touch tasty thing. So that to me is how I use it.
Yeah, and you can't dive bomb with one of those. It just doesn't work.
No.
Yeah, in Antidote, I used to do an end of song dive bomb, but that's with the tuning peg, you know?
Right.
You can't come back from that.
No.
So, but...
Oh, there's the bass. That's the bass. Either that or it's twin, because there's a couple of them.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Wow. So, yeah, I think that integration of the effects with a band like that, it's pretty interesting. And I think that, you know, and I think that we all have to be careful as bass players to try to make sure that we keep cohesion, you know. I always laugh. I say like, oh no, you know, like we're losing cohesion. No. My
philosophy as a bass player has always been, don't wait. You know, I lead the charge. I write songs on bass, and then I can make demos, and I'll add guitar to them. And it's like if you're putting your foot down first, then people find space around you. So I'm not someone who waits for songs to be written and then find a place for myself, because it's just what most people think that I do, or bass players in general do. But thankfully, not coming up on rock and roll like we were talking about earlier. No one told me that, you know. So I just came in writing songs. I was like, I got songs on bass, and you know, that was it. Yeah, it's great. It's great. We got to forge our path. I'm very much like, you know, but also, you know, as a collaborator, you're an active listener, and you're playing and you're doing things, and also being very quick to help or finish ideas that people have or play songs that people have. But I never thought to wait. I just slap on a lot of effects, use a sick riff, and like let's work it out, and it's worked.
Amazing.
Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the new Quicksand record, "Distant Populations," that's coming out. I know you're excited about it. I love the track that you dropped. I listened to it a bunch of times.
And all that's on my bass 6. Like I have the Fender 6. Kind of people think it's a baritone guitar, but it's a bass. It's all of that record is on that.
Oh wow. Where was that recorded, that record?
That was recorded in Studio 4 in Concahanshin, if I'm saying it right, Conchi, with Will Yip.
Where's Concahanshin?
It's like near Philly, really near Philly.
Okay.
If I'm saying it right.
Right. And the record's coming out August 13th.
Yes.
And you guys are going out on the road.
October.
Yeah.
What was the signal path for your bass 6?
At that time, it's the same. It's a fractal unit. And basically, I started using the basics. I got it at the end of the sessions for Koi no Yoken, the second album I did with Deftones. And I just wanted a whammy on the bass. That's how I found out about the bass 6. And trying to use it after the songs were written didn't work. But in between that album and the subsequent one, Gore, I had a couple of years to develop patches and sounds for it. And that allowed me to do it. It's essentially the same philosophy as the Jaguars, but just making up slight EQ tweaks and a little bit of a dB boost to make the output the same as the Jaguars. So when I'm going back and forth between them, like it's as even as possible. So I've spent a lot of time trying to get the bass 6 to not sound like the Jaguar, but be as robust as possible. So we have custom strings on it as thick as, or I believe it's like, the E is like, I think it's only a 100, but it's a lot thicker than what came on it. And with Drew, he really pushed the instrument to its limits as far as what I can get out of it in terms of thickness and girth, and that's it. So like it's the same philosophy as my regular bass patches, but just tweaked.
Yeah, and also like I think one of the things is that sort of connects to is that you play all different kinds of venues, and so I know that a lot of the guys that use the Freyet gear, that uses our Power Station attenuator, and that use the Sound City heads that we make with an attenuator, like you have to be able to, the house, they want a good signal, and you need to be able to adapt, right? Because you're playing such different types of venues, and that's been different. And obviously, there's a limit to how much stage volume you can push in a lot of places, even in some of the bigger venues, right? Like the big stages. How loud is your sound pressure level on big stages? Is it mostly coming from the monitors, or can you really let your stage?
I hear it behind me. We, it depends, because I'm using versions of the same rig for both bands, and like it's the same head, it's the same thing. And instead of 2 8x10s, it's 1 4x10 for Quicksand. And but I like having it behind me. I like having that. Even trying to do things, being on in-ears and trying to do things without cabinets and stuff, it doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it be in-ears or monitors, I still want to feel it behind me as well as either in my ears or in front of me.
Right on.
Cool. Zumbro, I love you, man.
Love you, Drew.
Yeah,
glad you had a good show last night.
Incredible.
Thank you. I love when you come on, bro, and I can sit here and just sort of DJ with pictures. I don't have to do the whole thing. I love it, man.
Those are some amazing pictures. Great stage shots. Amazing.
Yeah, man.
Sergio, thanks for coming on the show too.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Neil. I really appreciate it.
And I have all the gear, and I'm going to bring it back to the storage room pretty soon.
That's right. The Freyet Pitbull was ripping last night at the Antidote show.
Yeah, we got to talk outside of this, because starting to play shows, about to hit the road. So
right on, man.
I'll put you guys. I'll put you guys in touch.
All right. See you.
All right, Zumbro. I'll talk to you later.
See you guys.
That's my dude right there, you know. One of my oldest and dearest friends, man, you know. And how funny is that? Is that friggin' Ampeg thing that we used to drag around that was like the bane of our existence. He took that and created the Sans Amp bass driver.
I mean, I was thinking, like, it made me think that was like, that set the stage for amp modeling in a sense. I mean, that's
yeah, for sure.
It's amp modeling, and then it's only, you know, like that approach to things kind of like really is where things are at. I mean, that's the living. I live in an apartment in New York. Yeah. You know, we're talking about how we live, right? Like, to be able to have those tools at your disposal in a compact way it's priceless.
Yeah.
You know, so it's priceless. Like having a Sans amp, and now currently like amp modelers, you know, it's talking about using the Fractal, and recently I kind of migrated over to the Line 6 Helix, and like I'm up all night like on headphones, like playing through massive gear that, you know, like not physical gear, but
it reminds me of like when I talk to my dad about like what he's seen in his lifetime, you know, how things have changed. It's like even in our lifetime with this, in this realm of technology, how far things have gone from, like we were talking about when you guys were, you know, when we were playing in hardcore bands in the 80s to like now the gear has jumped light years.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it. Like when I was able, you know, like during Quicksand's first tenure or before all those bands, you just sing with a freaking bass on your lap.
Right.
You know, in your house, and that's it. And now I have my rig. My rig is in my bedroom. The same rig that I'm going to have on stage is in my freaking bedroom right now.
I like this Quicksand picture.
Oh, that's cool.
I like this. This really, I like this a lot. It captures the moment. It really captures the moment. It's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are family to me. I love them.
Of course, man. And you know, I think what's really nice, at least from my angle here, is like, you know, the band was around, you did some things, you weren't around for a while, you know, you sort of tried to, and now you guys are like, really, the three of you guys are back and you're doing it and making a nice run at it, you know, at this stage of the game. It's awesome.
It was something that, honestly, like, let's say like being around Deftones kind of made me think about like, man, these guys have known each other since they were like 10, you know, in some cases whatever kind of like life brings your way that could be like a wedge issue or something, they just stay together. And like, I was like, man, like with Quicksand, we didn't. And like, we can play, we have our health, we actually like each other, we're friends. Like, why are we not existing?
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, you know, let's bring Matt Gray on a second. Yeah. Hey, buddy.
What's up, gentlemen? What's up,
hey,
Sergio?
So tell us the little story you told me before the show about how you and Sergio ended up on stage together at the Warp Fest. What's the story?
Well, my first tour was seeing Quicksand, so it kind of circles around back to this. So I was on tour with a band, being a drum tech for the Starting Line, and we were out in California, and Quicksand was there, and NoFX was late to get to the show, so they had a bunch of the musicians backstage get together, you know, form a bunch of bands and get up. And I was very fortunate enough to share the stage with the ever amazing Sergio.
So
amazing. So cool. So cool.
I like that. Was high pressure.
I still get chills thinking about it, because it was just so weird how, like, Sergio, like, how we started singing like the last chorus, and then like NoFX storms the stage and sings along with us, and it was iconic. And I get to play with Drew. That's okay, you know. But to play with you was just
it was really that was so high pressure, and it was fun because it was pressure. We rehearsed it. We were like in the back of the bus, like trying to figure it out.
What songs were you were doing? The all NoFX?
One song.
Oh, one song. Okay.
Yeah.
I already forgot the name of the song.
It was Bruise by NoFX. Yeah. And Mike from All American Rejects and Tyson from All American Rejects, and the drummer of Atreyu got out there. They were singing, and Brendan from a band called Circus Survive was playing, and it was just full on. It was amazing. It was a highlight of my drumming, not career. But
what the highlight of your drum career wasn't being on stage with me last night in 300 degrees with me screaming my brains out.
You're right. But no, listen, it was pretty cool. So it was definitely an experience. And like I said, it seemed like for me it came full circle because seeing Quicksand on the first Warped Tour in Asbury Park, then out in California, and then obviously now the Warped Tour is done. And
it was a trip doing that song though. That was like I was nervous because I didn't know the song, and then we had to learn it. Right. We're figuring it out together, and then trying to retain it. You know, it's like I like that kind of. I mean, you killed it. Yeah. And
thank you. Likewise.
Everybody, I was like, I know I botched it, but I was at that point there was so many people on stage. I was like,
we did great. I messed up the first 4 measures, but who cares? It's all good. Right. Yeah.
Hey,
we pulled it together, and everybody was perfect on it. So,
thanks, Matt. And I'm really fortunate. I'm really fortunate to have such a great player as yourself in the band with me, and you know, I appreciate it, man.
I'm honored.
You are the engine that drives this train these days, man.
Thank you. I got to practice more now, so thanks.
We should just call the band the Matt Gray Band now, because you run the show now, bro.
I'm the guy in the back. Nobody cares about me.
Oh yeah,
I'm just a drummer.
I'll talk to you later, Matty.
Much love. Sergio, nice to see you again, man.
Great to see you.
That's my dude. He's a really great drummer, man.
I know.
Well, he's a drum teacher, you know. So like coming out of this pandemic, you know, everyone's sort of trying to, you know, hey, I haven't played drums in a year. This guy's been doing 5 drum lessons, you know, every day, you know, for a year. The guy's, oh boy.
I mean, that's the thing about the pandemic. It was like people are going to come out of this thing like a ball of dough or like ready to delay. You got to make a choice.
Absolutely. Hey, let me take my last sponsor break. Shout out a couple of sponsors, and we'll come back and we'll take questions from around the world, okay?
Awesome.
What's happening? It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today is Sergio Vega from Quicksand, the Deftones, Absolution, Collapse, a couple more. We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, Texas Silver Rush, Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, and located in Corpus Christi, Texas, Chacho's Tacos. They opened their door in 2001, home of the almighty Chacho's Taco. They cook up an incredible home-style Tex-Mex food, and this month they're celebrating their 20th anniversary. They've been supporting underground music since the beginning, and in their own words, we ain't going anywhere soon. Touring bands that play Corpus Christi swing by and get a home-cooked meal. At Chacho's Tacos, we got you. The underground scene will never die. Please follow us on Facebook or on Instagram. Last, but certainly not least, The Organic Grill. It's a vegan restaurant located at the East Village of New York City at 123 First Avenue, featured in New York Magazine, the New York Times, and everybody's favorite, Veg News. The dishes have won numerous awards, including Best Veggie Burger. They make their own cheeses, sausages, and burger patties, and every dish on the menu can be made gluten-free for all you gluten-free motherfuckers. This year, they're celebrating their 21st anniversary, and they're all about having a great time while enjoying amazing, clean food. They have now fully reopened for business and look forward to seeing you. Get in touch with them. Order some great food at www.theorganicgrill.com. You know, I said it before. I'll say it again. A7, coming back. We're coming back. We're coming back. We're coming back. So this Sunday is the A7 Rampage Mosh Fest. Bunch of bands are playing. We decided to play as well. Crippled Urn, Antidote, NYHC, Enziguri, Silence Equals Death, Necrotic Society, Diamond Dogs, Serial Poets, and of course, as always, it's free. If it's free, it's for me. So come on down. Don't be a cheap fuck. Buy a couple drinks or whatever. Buy a Coke. If you listen, all you straight edge, everybody's welcome down here. You know that. Come on down, drink a Coca-Cola. If you're drinking booze, have a beer. You know, Kevin Heggs is all fired up. You know, that's right. Scott Earth, if it's free, it's for me. All right, so here we go. Let's bring Serge back on. Let me clear the deck. What the heck? And let's start with this one. Hey, buddy. Can Sergio talk about playing the Jimmy Fallon show?
Okay.
Do you even remember that? All right. Go ahead.
Let's see. What to say? Jimmy Fallon, very nice guy. I met him once before in Lit Lounge, actually, like, because Chaka and I did a party there for like 3 years. And one night after closing, Jimmy Fallon was there. Super nice dude, like really low key. And then when we did the show, you know, years later, not that he didn't remember that, but he was just super cool to us. And they had like being in the backstage room where they do those kind of like little backstage shows with the Roots and stuff like that on toy instruments was kind of cool to see. I guess the only thing to say was that we played Omission first, and I was in the wrong tuning, and they were gracious enough to let us play it again.
Did you stop dead in your tracks, or did you play through the whole song?
No, I played. I realized it. I transposed like I was in a drop tuning, and instead of standard, and I adjusted, and then when we played, when there was like a note, you know, like hanging note, supposed to hit the open E, I kind of hit the high E, and then tuned up the D to it. And then, you know, I kind of massaged it, and but I was like, can we do that again? They're like, yeah,
that's cool. Here's our good friend Chucky Perez. Now, can Sergio talk a little bit about his solo project if he hasn't yet? Now, I assume, and you know, this is in my notes. And listen, we could do two shows. You know, like we didn't get to so much, but I assume that he's talking about the Ray Martin sessions.
I would think so, yes.
Let's talk about the Ray Martin sessions and who was involved with that, and a little bit about the background.
Okay, the Ray Martin sessions was basically like after Quicksand and wanting to like explore like certain ways of writing and certain ways of doing things, you know, just wanting to sing. And it was something that like I had experimented with really like on the Slip record, and but it wasn't really there yet, you know. And so basically all the stuff that I was kind of feeling, my influences and stuff like that, just pulling together some songs. I think it was kind of it was fun. A lot of people were involved. Geez, a lot. Jimmy Williams played drums. Charlie Garrigo played guitar. Chris Traynor played guitar. And we had like a host of people kind of singing it in like, kind of like, there's a song where it has like a group kind of like choir, not a choir, but like a big chorus. And that was just about any friend, like Chip Love was there. Walter.
Right.
We had a lot of people for that. And basically that was me on guitar, singing and playing synthesizers, like a Moog specifically.
Scott Winder, was he involved in that?
He ran the label. So yeah, so Scott, it was Grape OS Records, and it was his label along with a guy called Dave, and they kind of teamed together and made this label and kind of took a chance on, you know, down to put it out. And I was like, oh, it's cool. And Ray Martin was amazing to work with because it was early on in me singing, so he was very patient in getting. It took a long time to do the vocals. You know, it's like very patient in laying him down, getting him solid, getting him good, and it was fun. Man. It was really fun.
Gary, our good friend Gary Yasko from Deblo Hammer down in Florida these days. I hope things are going well down there, Gary. We miss you. Sergio, what is the writing process with Quicksand? Do you all bring riffs to the table?
Yeah, it's collaborative. We have like basically a couple of ways, you know, like let's say, thank you, Chip. Chip Walter and I had a band too that was very short-lived and never even performed. We had a band called Crosby, Skills. and we had hits. And our best song had to go 1, 2, or 3. And we also had a song called Chicken and Cheese. And I mean, for that's a very in the know kind of thing, like chicken and cheese, chicken being like a joint, like almost like a chicken leg, and cheese being hash. And Chip and I, and Walter, we have some gems.
That's cool.
We have some gems. But the writing process for Quicksand is, let's say like for these past couple of records, there's like a couple of ways that it goes down. A lot of jams on sound checks. Everything's recorded on tour. We can revisit them. You know, a lot of jamming in a room, and we can kind of revisit those later. And then also, like, you know, then there's also going to be the songs that, like, I can demo out a skeleton at home. Walter can demo out a skeleton at home, and we can bring those. So it's like every which way but loose, you know, and like. So if something, you know, if there's something Walter brings in from home or I bring in from home, we're kind of like quickly jump on it as a band. And but primarily, you know, things, or not primarily, as much as any other way, it's kind of just bubbling up in a room together.
I like that bit about interesting. Is it, you mentioned, is it at sound checks basically? Because I guess on the road you got to sound check every day, right? You're standing there for you know, you're standing there for however long. I guess I never sort of really thought it through that in a certain way that could be your creative time. Oh,
we jam like crazy, and especially starting with the whether it be in rehearsal or thing. In my mind, it's almost like free time. We have this free time, and we're playing and recording everything. And when something's really solid, we're building it, and everyone's very quick to react to each other. And that's one of my favorite things about playing with Walter and Alan is that how quickly we can get to things. What we've become better at, it took us, I think, with our last album, it took us a minute to say, like, what is Quicksand 22 years later? And once we built that structure, things were just like flying. Yeah, and
you guys are a lean, mean fight machine as a 3-piece now. I mean, did you, as the bass player, I mean, did you find yourself needing to sort of fill in any other space? Did things really change now that you're down?
In the sense, in the sense that, like, sonically, and also I think like it allowed my bass sound to get taller. Mm-hmm. In the sense that, like, it can occupy like a lot more frequencies.
Yeah,
it always did. Nothing really changed, but it's kind of just more in your face. And the way that my tone has developed, I think, is kind of very, very big. And
you're a power trio. You're like the Jimi Hendrix experience.
Big. And then what Walter does, in the space he occupies, and the way that we play together is very like fluid, and it's kind of like you know, like, when there's less trees, they can expand a little bit wider.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that. And, you know, like, and it's no slack on what it was like before and being a 4-piece, which I think was awesome too.
Chucky Brown's, is that right? Can he speak on his days working as a barback at Coney Island High? Is that right, bro?
Yeah. Well, like, after
I got a Coney Island High picture. Go ahead.
So after Quicksand broke up the first time, I was like, I gotta work, and then I just went in and I got hooked up to work over at Coney Island High as a barback, and that was kind of funny because it was like right off of Quicksand tour, and I was just like barbacking. So I had a lot of moments of people looking at me like really kind of like what? And I was like
what do you do? Like,
I was like, first of all, I'm like a hardcore kid. Why are you surprised that I'm working at Coney Island High? You know, it's not that crazy.
Well, that was Jesse Malin's place, right?
Yeah.
And of course, you know, Jesse Malin is our patron saint of A7, right? At Niagara, where, you know, we call it A7. You know, we're there really, really by the grace of Jesse Malin.
I mean, I worked at Niagara as well. I barbacked at Niagara. I barbacked at Niagara, and then it's all, because it all ties into like filling in with Deftones, you know. So I filled in with Deftones in '99 while I was working at Niagara, and
that's funny, bro.
That's how I came back and became a bartender. So I like came back and then like Johnny T was like, hey, I know you just came off your tour and doing this and stuff, and like, when you want to come back to work, take your time. And I was like, well, yeah. And I was like, well, I'll tell you. I was like, I'm happy to come back to work, and bar back, like, I'm happy, I work very hard. And this, I was like, but if you make me a bartender, I'll be more likely to tell people I work here. And he was like, bartender.
Man, I should get Jesse to make me a bartender, just because I want to be a bartender. Like, I like
being a bartender.
I don't drink, or nothing, but I think I want to like be a bartender for a minute,
I love it. The interesting thing about being a bartender versus being a songwriter or a collaborator is you get instant gratitude. You know that it's way quicker. There's not a 2-year lag between doing something, having it be shared, and wondering if someone likes it, right? You make a freaking drink, hand it over, and they go, yeah, or, and then you get paid, and it's like, wow, like the dopamine effect. I was like, this is really streamlined. Like, I'm just like, all right. And then you walk out with tips. I was like, this is crazy. I loved it.
Here's something that's come up a couple times. I sort of didn't fit it in. Rage Against the Machine. Was it Deftones that toured with Rage Against the Machine? Quicksand did. Okay.
We also toured with Inside Out and Shelter. So their history with Zach.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
okay.
I don't know what to say about it. I mean, Rage Against the Machine were obviously very big at the time, and people were like, people were just like, and they were kind of bringing, like a mentality to a group of kids and a type of kids that were kind of not thinking in those ways. And it's kind of interesting because I think like Zach a lot of times after the show would kind of kick it up back and kind of hang out with people, which there'd be a lot of kids out, and it'd be kind of like on steroids version of after a hardcore show.
Chucky Brown says first Quicksand tour was with Shelter and Inside Out, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Boy, listen, you've done so many tours. Paulie Park Chop says I saw Quicksand open for White Zombie and Anthrax. What?
Yes.
In the summer of '93 at Roseland. Any memories of that tour?
Yes.
That's a weird bill, man.
I mean, well, it made sense. I mean, what was interesting about it was like, Anthrax was Sound of White Noise, and they were kind of like,
oh yeah, Tom Bush was singing, right.
It was one of my, I think first time seeing a super big production, and that was cool. The White Zombie guys were in the midst of their ascent because of Beavis and Butthead.
Sure. So
it was just kind of really wild to see as we were traveling. Like it was almost like seeing like a viral sensation, but like before viral sensations, where they were just like growing exponentially on the tour, and that was pretty cool. And then for us, we were just like, just playing, doing it, hanging out. Yeah.
Sergio, when are you going to have your own strand of weed? Anyone approach you about it? God, these guys,
no,
you guys in this weed thing, man, unbelievable.
I don't smoke anymore.
Oh, good.
I stopped smoking weed. I do. I like use CBD products.
Mm-hmm.
I've been getting sponsored by a company called Game Up Nutrition. They're like a vegan CBD company that the Diaz brothers do, and they've been really cool. And I've been using their products, and during the pandemic, really got into working out and exercising, and kind of like trying to.
What do those products do for you? I don't know. I'm totally ignorant when it comes to that stuff.
I think for me, it's kind of like they're anti-inflammatory. So for me, after working out, I have like a tincture and I add it to like a shake, or I'll just have the tincture straight up. And what I really noticed, honestly, was my mother uses it. And my mother had knee replacement surgery, and she had some things where it really that was the most tangible, measurable effect of
does it help with arthritis, stuff like that?
I think it's not like FDA approved, but what it does in that it is an anti-inflammatory. I think in those ways it has a lot of things. You know, I can't speak as a scientist, but in theory, like what it does is any ways that inflammation are an issue, it helps mitigate that. Right. And for me, like I notice I use it as like a recovery thing after hitting the gym. And early in the pandemic, to be honest, like when sleeping and things like that were becoming a real issue, and people's like sleep cycles were getting really fucked, I was my wife and I were taking it nightly, and that was definitely helpful.
Now you're vegan, correct?
34 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time, man. Yeah. Well, listen, doing what you're doing, you have to take care of yourself, man. You know, I mean, in general, and I'm not just saying, you know, if you're not vegan, you're not taking care of yourself. But doing what you do, and we talked about this before, you know, on those tours, you have to have some sort of a regimen. You have to take care of yourself, or you're not going to last, man. Yeah. You know,
and I've existed with them and without them, and I can say that like there's diminishing returns on not having a regimen. Like I really went out of my way to be like, I'm going to be wild, you know, and it works until it doesn't, and when it doesn't at all.
Yep. One, let me shout out as we head towards the door here. Quicksand has a new record coming out. Distant Populations out on August 13th. What's the name of that one track that you guys dropped?
The first one we did is Distant Populations, and then the second one is Missile Command.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. The first song is called Inversion. I'm sorry.
Missile Command. That's
yeah, the first song is Inversion, but the opening line is Distant Populations.
Got it. Hey, this has been asked a couple. Let's do this one, and we don't have to go. Let's not get crazy here, but like, what's popping? Sergio, top 5 desert albums, any genre.
Ooh, okay.
Give it a shot.
Would say Arise by Amebix. Obscured by Clouds, Pink Floyd.
Oh, come on now. It's funny. It's fun. I just listened to that in the car, last night and yesterday.
Phenomenal.
Obscured by Clouds is the soundtrack film. With the free 4 and all that, right? Yeah, man. That's synchronicity, bro. I just had that. I just listened to that last night.
Yeah, so we have a song called Shovel, and if you listen to the song Obscured by Clouds, you'll see where I got the bass line from. I wanted to be Pink Floyd for a couple of decades now. I would love to be Pink Floyd. I would sign up for that.
Yeah.
But heavy, but Pink Floyd. I mean, they're heavy. And then let's see. I would just stop with those 2 records. I'd be good. But then I would take maybe the self-titled My Bloody Valentine album, which is like the latest one. Which, by the way, your photos from last night really look like My Bloody Valentine would be all over those photos.
So, that's Sid's photos.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, My Bloody Valentine would be like, that's our album cover. We're on it. I was like, the saturation, the whole thing. I would go with that record. Let's see. I would go with Red by Black Uhuru.
Oh man, Sly and Robbie.
That's like a big influence,
right? Mickey Chung, right? And
that's gonna be that. And then you know what? I'm gonna take I'll take the New Breed compilation to close it out, just so that I could always think about like I'm stuck on an island, gonna die. I should hear my friends.
You know what I listened to recently? Those Grace Jones albums. That it's basically Grace Jones singing for Black Uhuru.
Yeah.
They are really great, man.
I mean, those bass lines are a big part. That's a big part of my structure of like writing. It's like
My Jamaican Guy and Apple Stretching, man.
You have to understand, like, to me, the bass is like, you can be a melodic instrument that's not busy and be heavy and be spacious. That's my jam. I mean,
yeah. I recommend those to anybody out there that are fans of Black Uhuru. There's 3 Grace Jones albums that basically it's Black Uhuru backing Grace Jones, and yeah, they're really good, man. Sly and Robbie and the whole gang there, you know.
Heavy. So heavy.
Love the shirt, Sergio.
Oh,
yeah.
So that's my wife and my wife and I have a travel Instagram where we kind of like, and also just like a whole thing, like a whole brand that's about like vegan, but like Latin oriented vegan stuff.
You know, people were a couple people were asking through the show, and I wasn't sure how to phrase it. So I'm glad that you brought it up. Is there where can people find this? Is there a site or anything?
Yeah, we have an Instagram. So it's Pinche, PINCHE _ vegano.
Okay.
And we have our shirts available through Merch Direct, and like we kind of basically break down like it's a little bit of like showing restaurants and supporting restaurants that are vegan or have vegan options. It's a little bit of recipes and things that we make at home that are, you know, we're just kind of just trying to put it out there. We're not trying to push people towards veganism, but just trying to show that it's good and tasty, and it doesn't have to be like hella expensive.
I think that a lot of that's out there, you know. Doyle, my friend Doyle from the Misfits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of. Sergio, are you going to do your DJ show again on Twitch?
You know, early in the pandemic, I was DJing on Twitch, and I was DJing, doing some playthroughs, and doing like just chilling on Twitch a lot. But I kind of took that time up by going to school, and I was like, I got to start working out more and going to school, and it was really fun. But I realized that it started to become like a parallel move in the sense that I was kind of investing a lot of time in DJing and kicking it, and I wasn't looking to becoming like a Twitch partner or affiliate, and I couldn't in good conscience like charge people or start doing subscription things during a pandemic. So I kind of was like, I got to go to school. I just started, you know, my wife and I take classes like 5 days a week.
That's cool. That's awesome. You know what? As a Bronx guy, we got to, who's Sergio's favorite past rapper? Past rapper? What do you mean past rapper? Okay.
Decades of rappers. I don't know.
Well, you know, we talked about this a little bit. I went to public high school in the Bronx. I went to JFK High School, which is not where it's across the Bronx there, but I went to public high school in the Bronx when the rap thing hit, you know, and I remember, you know, being in public school, you know, a hop, like when it was literally hitting, you know, and everyone had the boom boxes and all that. So the Bronx is just so rich in hip hop history, you know.
I mean, when I was like a kid, like I think it's like I remember listening to the radio to Just Allah the Superstar and Africa, like not Africa Bambaataa, but like Baby Bambaataa or whatever, and like when there was like that R&B group, the Force MDs. But they used to be called the Force MCs. And they used to do like theme songs, but change all the words. And do like the theme song to Gilligan's Island and things like that. So that's kind of like, if I'm going to go past, I'm going to go.
That's great. What are you going to school for? Can you talk about that? I mean, yeah.
Spanish. I take Spanish lessons. Yeah.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
You don't. You're from Puerto Rico. You don't speak Spanish. You never spoke.
Bronx. I'm from the Bronx, and I speak Spanish, but not well. And I'm really fluent.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, I would think that like for me, if I took Spanish, like I'm somewhat acclimated to it from growing up here and public school. I almost can understand when someone speaks it. So. That's a language that I'd like to take. It wouldn't be like taking Japanese, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, interestingly enough, my wife takes Japanese. But
that's a tough language, man.
It's tough. But like for me, it's like currently what I realize is that I'm learning Spanish as far as like grammar and context and things like a lot. My understanding of Spanish at the end of this will be better than my understanding of English as far as like grammar. I went to school in the Bronx. It's easy to pass.
Where'd you go to high school?
Christopher Columbus. I breezed through all of that, and my grammar's terrible. I mean, I speak all right, but it's like I'm learning about conjugation. I'm learning about things that I don't remember at all learning in English or paying attention. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, hey, man, I want to thank you for coming on the show. It was great, and I really enjoy. We had a nice, calm, enjoyable conversation, and I respect everything you're doing. I look forward to seeing you out there, man.
Likewise, I look forward to linking up and seeing you in person again.
Yeah,
and come checking out Antidote.
Yeah, and we're Antidote NYHC.
Antidote NYHC.
We're Antidote NYHC.
That's right.
And hey, I'll connect you and Zum also regarding
the Fryette. Awesome. Now's a good time for that.
Yeah, the Fryette stuff, and maybe for Wally or whatever. Is there anybody you want to shout out on the way out?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to shout out, like when we talk about music and gear, I would definitely like to shout out, Fender. I would definitely like to shout out Line 6, and I would like to shout out Orange Amplification and IK Multimedia, and I'd like to shout out people like Chaka and Gingy and Sean and Chris and Chris Trainer, Sybil Buck and Chip Love and everybody, man. Y'all, this has really been fun.
Cool. I'll talk to you soon, Serge.
And Denise for that picture.
yeah, that was pretty great. So we'll keep in touch. I'll talk to you.
Definitely, Peace. Thank you again.
All right. Well, there you go. That was great. That was a great show, and thanks everybody for for tuning in. It was great. Great guest. Fantastic show. Good to see you all out there. Wednesday. Yeah, we got Wednesday. This is going to be another fun one on Wednesday. Scott Hellen's coming on the show, and this guy's like has a lot of real history in American hardcore, and has a great memory. Has a great record collection and a great memory. Coming up this Wednesday, there's going to be a Wednesday show. He was in the Outpatients, and he was in Deep Wound, which was Jay Mascis' first band. So this will be a cool one. He's doing his thing. So that said, let me make sure everybody's behaving themselves. Thank you, Randy, Heggs, Larry Kelly, everybody. Yes, Jeff. Oh, I got to shout out Jeff Steiner, my latest patron. Jeff Steiner, my latest patron, jumped on board during this show. So welcome, my brother, and thank you. Thank you for supporting the show. Really mean it, man. We want to keep doing the show and need your support. So I caught that. I can multitask, do about 300 things at once during this show, including check my email and other things. You know what? Here's a good shot. This was taken last night. This is a good shot taken by Steven Messina, the Hardcore Shutterbug. There you go. Everybody got their game face on there, So that was us. That was Antidote NYHC last night in Brooklyn, and we will be playing this Sunday at the Rampage A7 Rampage Mosh Fest. Drew, I love this show. This show loves you. Thanks for getting us through the pandemic. There he is. And there he is. Scott Helland. Come on, man. You're lurking. We're going to have fun on Wednesday, Scott. I'm looking forward to cutting up with you. Thank you, man. Thank you, Philip. Hey, how's Joey's movie going? Who's Joey's movie? Am I missing something? You talk about my new film? It's Joey's movie. Is that a dude's like, is that a band? Anyway, I talked to Dickie Barrett. Dickie Barrett is in a situation contractually with the show he's on TV with. He's not at liberty to come on and do a show like this right now. We'll get him eventually, but Dickie Barrett can't come on because of a Hollywood contract situation. So, but we love you. Yeah, that picture was Tristan's skate buddy. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Chucky Brown, bro, you guys killed it last night. Crazy Eddie fucking smushed it, man. You know what I mean? What else? What else? Fuck Jimmy Kimmel. What did Jimmy Kimmel do? Oh, because of Dickie, right? Thanks for everything you do, brother. All right. Well, thank you. I do it because I love it, man. I do it because I love it. And I'm part of the community, and you're part of the community. And I mean that. All right. Enough of this. Sid, you all right?
Yeah, just chilling, Drew. Just letting you do your thing.
Listen, man. You know what? I was wrong, Sid. Your photos are actually awesome. That Sergio pointed it out to me. They're very stylistic. What do I know?
Dude, it's from a freaking iPhone. So how the fuck do I know too? It's that whole weird ghosting thing, like.
Happy belated birthday! Happy belated birthday, Sid.
Thanks, Larry. And yeah, I'm one of the. I'm not one of the old bastards yet. So, but it's coming up. It's coming up.
Who's an old bastard? Like me, Vinny Stigma, Roger Moret, Jimmy. Like, are we the old bastards?
No, you're the young bastard. You're not the old bastard. Charlie Harper's the old bastard, but we all love Charlie though.
Charlie Harper's like 70 years old, right?
74 now.
Listen, Kevin. Well, hold on. I got to set Kevin straight. Hold on. No, Kevin. Crazy Eddie did not have a 5-minute set. You were just outside smoking reefer with Rat Bones the whole time. They actually played a full set, but you were so stoned you wouldn't know. There you go.
Whoa.
Oh, the whole show he's going on about that they only played for 5 minutes. No, you were zooted. So
no, I was in there. I saw Crazy Eddie for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, and by the way, Chucky says iPhones are supposed to have one of the best cameras on phones, bro.
Well, mind you, see, look, this is the 6S Plus.
Rapone says, "Don't blame me." That's funny. Yeah.
Well, I mean, wait, wasn't that an antidote song too, Drew?
Yeah, it's true. Don't blame me. You know,
it's not our fault.
This one's called "I Love Being Zooted."
Oh God!
Who uses that? Nobody uses that anymore. Wow, I'm zooted. You know,
I've heard it a few times, just not as much as people would like to think.
And you're not DJing at the Rampage Mosh Fest on Sunday, right?
No, Drew. Again, people were wondering why, because I got to do a recording that I planned 3 months before you guys wanted to do it on that date. But if we have something in August, I'm going to be there. So
if we have something, you better believe we have something in August and September, and all the A7 shows are getting booked.
Oh,
listen, if you have a band and you want to play A7, and even if you suck, you can play. Reach out, and you can play A7, even if you suck.
Exactly. Hey. Because you know what? You might suck that first show, but you might suck so bad that people like you that they want you to come back.
You want to know something, bro? The way I look at it, everybody sucks. So,
quote Milo from the Descendants: "Everybody sucks, or everything sucks."
Let's be frank. Most hardcore bands suck. All right, Sid. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Cheers, guys.
I'll see you, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Hey, great show. Had a couple laughs. We'll see you on Wednesday, and hopefully we'll see you in person on Sunday. So until then, my friends, do good things, and good things will come to you.